Welcome to On the Chain.
So, doesn't seem like there's really much going on lately,
Nothing
especially on Twitter.
at all.
Hardly anything going on on Twitter.
Nothing too exciting.
Nothing going on exciting.
Why don't we get to the elephant in the room, which is the big Charles Hoskinson dust up, if you will. I mean, he kind of came out, Charles, which, he's pretty well loved, especially by members of the, not only the general crypto community, but XRP community. He, obviously the point man on Cardano, but he had a couple comments, John. I want to just kind of have you weigh in on this because,
it's like the bizarre world for me, because for one, you could go back and look at interviews I've done. I've actually been a fan, and if when I've been critical of certain things, I've always used Charles as an example. And so this is kind of an unfortunate situation. And when I say bizarre, I want you to imagine this, because this is the situation. A year ago on your show and on Tony's Thinking Crypto show, I was the one telling everyone in the XRP community, look, selective enforcement is the single waste of time. It happens, it's unfortunate, but that's not a defense. We have to get away from that ETH got a free pass and that's a defense or any of that. And, I had to educate for over a year the XRP community, or some people, because they thought it had much more relevance. And instead I said, listen, we got to fight that battle of conflicts in a different courtroom, the courtroom of Congress. So I start an app, I spend resources and time, and I create this app. And 60,000 messages have went to every senator, every congressperson. I've had 9 meetings with congressmen and their staff on this issue. I've sent every person on the banking committee and the financial services committee in the House and the Senate a sample letter asking for an inquiry into the conflicts. So I want you to imagine an entire year of that kind of effort, and then one of the most influential people in crypto says to me, dude, you should know better. Selective enforcement isn't a defense, right? And that's separate from what's going on. And I'm like, you talk about preaching to the choir, that's the choir preaching to the preacher. And so it's kind of bizarre for me to understand why Charles was calling me out on something that I've been saying exactly what he's saying. And I took issue, and I will take issue. Listen, if Chris Larson or Brad Garlinghouse said this, I wouldn't hesitate to say to them, correct them if they're going to call something a conspiracy or grand conspiracy when it is 100% factual. And so what I was saying to Charles is, since we aren't bringing that up in the Ripple case, and we are doing the way we're supposed to in Congress and using our elected officials, when you say that, all those people that send a message to Congress, it's undermining them. When Empower Oversight, which doesn't own XRP, owns no crypto, has nothing to do with John Deaton, when they fight for transparency in our government, they sue the SEC, expend time and resources, catch the SEC in a lie, get 1,200 emails that conclusively prove that Bill Hinman violated the law. It's not an allegation, people. It's a fact, okay? When you then say it's a grand conspiracy, you're undermining all of that effort and energy, because your voice is so much more important. I don't know if it's important, more powerful. Your voice is one of the single most important people in crypto, a founder of ETH, a co-founder of ETH, a founder of Cardano. When you speak, so many more people listen to you than they're going to listen to me, because you're more important than I am in the crypto world. You're more important than all those people as far as your voice. Right. And so it's frustrating, because it's like, Charles, don't do that. And that's all I was trying to do. And so I think, unfortunately, Charles doesn't know me. I'm assuming, nor should he. He doesn't know all that effort. And, maybe he's confusing me with these trolls on internet who say to him, hey, dig up information on him. That's not us. That's not the entire XRP community. I don't stand for that. And so it's like the bizarro world for me to face that. And so the last thing I'll say on it, guys, is let me make this clear. I want everyone to understand that there is no conspiracy. Okay. This is a fact. A year ago on your show, even though I could have, and I'll explain why, I did not say, I said, listen, guys, I'm not going to go as far as to say Bill Hinman violated the law. I don't know if you remember that, but I was very hesitant. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's a man's character, it's a man's reputation. He's got children, grandchildren. You don't want to like just be reckless about that. But I could have. You want to know why? The financial conflict laws don't require specific intent. If you allow even what's called an appearance of impropriety, you are in violation of the statute, right? You can't say, well, I didn't know. It's the same thing that you all heard, that ignorance of the law is not a defense. How many crypto lawyers or securities lawyers have said Ripple's fair notice defense is weak because you can't use, well, I didn't know the law as a defense. So it's the same kind of concept. Even the appearance of impropriety. So even if Bill Hinman didn't know, he'd be in violation, but I didn't say it. When Empower got those emails, and he specifically told by the ethics division of the SEC, you are financially barred. You are criminally barred, Bill. You can't email, you can't call, you can't meet, you can't do any of those things. And he's told that. And we can prove through his own words in his own emails that he met 3 more times at minimum, and he joked about it and he laughed about it, and they made all kinds of jokes about this conflict that he knew about. You are in violation. So let me make it clear to everyone in the world, and Bill Hinman, if you're listening, sue me if you think I'm saying something that you can prove wrong. Bill Hinman violated the criminal conflict financial laws of the United States of America and likely violated Title V of the U.S. Code, period. It is a fact. It is not an opinion. With that said, let's talk about amicus.
That was good. That was a good run. That was a nice
That
little
wa-
run there. I love that.
That was
And,
that was a great run, great opening. I just want to point out one thing, and it's interesting you bring up with Charles and getting into Hinman, but it seems like Charles has a higher authority in the space because of the position that he has, and he's undermining that authority and undermining the community by what you're saying, and he has a certain obligation to uphold. It sounds like you're saying as well, and now this whole thing with Hinman, it's still it's so, I don't want to say confusing, but I think it does confuse a lot of people out there when you have someone with this higher authority like Charles, and then you have the Hinman, and he's coming to his defense
Well,
in a way by saying, hey, this is a conspiracy, it's a grand conspiracy, and he's not even entertaining the fact that there could be some issue with this.
well, I'm going to give Charles the benefit of the doubt that he didn't know all those things, because what's really frustrating is I think I know what Charles was saying. And I think that if I'm accurate and I know what he was trying to say, I agree with him. I think what he was trying to say when he says, quote, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think he was trying to say that the conflict issue or the corruption issue doesn't matter as it relates to the Ripple case, right? And that's true. I agree with that comment that even if there was a bribe, and this is why I said it's bizarre. I used to say this a year ago. Even if there was a bribe, it doesn't change whether or not XRP is a security or not a security, right? The judge could find XRP as a security and make a recommendation to the Department of Justice to do an investigation on somebody else, right? And so I think that's what Charles was saying, which is like, look, people, this doesn't matter. And unfortunately used the word conspiracy. It was unfortunate he said conspiracy, and then later in a subsequent one said grand conspiracy. I'm not sure why he doubled down. And I think it's because he let internet trolls like confuse, that's not John Deaton. I wouldn't say anything like that, right? Again, when I have posted factual threads about how the co-founders of Ethereum. This is a fact. It was published in articles, right, where they said they were worried about being tackled on the tarmac by the FBI for violating securities laws. And I got all those threads. When people would talk about that, I had seen interviews with Charles and was like, listen, I remember Charles talking about he wanted to KYC people and he wanted to have this view of transparency. I was like literally lifting him up. Like, I'm a fan of Charles. He's an incredibly likable guy. Like, I've never met him. I've never had a conversation with him, but he's more humble than most that are in his position of wealth. He's more sensible. He doesn't like tribalism. Like, I'm the guy that's been screaming at the top of my lungs to end tribalism. I did a video, as you guys know, saying every token is in danger if the SEC is successful in Ripple. That's a year ago. I used Cardano as an example, saying how Cardano's not a security, but if Gensler and them get their way, they could go after him. And so, like, it's just frustrating. And I was really looking forward to having a civil discussion with him because we're really on the same team,
Right.
when we're talking about government overreach, right? And so, but I just hope he's a very intelligent guy. He's got way, he lost more intelligence in his sleep last night than I'll ever have, right? So I accept that. But I just would want him to understand that because his voice is so powerful, and because his voice is listened to so much more than the people that are sending the messages to their senators and their representatives, or me on your show or anyone else's show, when he tweets, that's like 6 months to a year of effort by other people. And so that's why that last tweet where I said, Charles, this is why people called you out, because immediately some publication, online publication, is saying Cardano founder says, XRP, the Hinman thing's a grand conspiracy. And while we're trying to get Congress members to make an inquiry and support the IG investigation, right, they could come back and say, hey, Charles Hoskinson says that this is nothing to look at, John. And that's what I was getting at.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.